While I don't consider myself to be addicted to my devices, I do find it a bit frustrating when I'm out of cellular data range when camping at a couple of my favorite spots. Enter the Starlink Mini. I've got two favorite camping spots that both have little to no cellular data coverage. One is near Quartzsite, Arizona, and the other is my summertime beat the heat getaway near Woods Canyon Lake near Payson, Arizona. The limitation in Quartzsite is primarily due to capacity issues with the thousands of campers that converge there in the wintertime. The limits at the lake is just being outside of the range of cell towers in the Sitgreaves National Forest. As I was planning for my annual Quartzsite ham radio trip this year, I stumbled upon Starlink's holiday sale and made a quick trip to my local Best Buy to get a Starlink Mini. The Starlink Mini looked like it would be just perfect for my needs. It would provide me with data coverage for someone who doesn't need unlimited data while camping. After all, part of the reason for camping is disconnecting, at least to some degree. And the Mini will do that at a reasonable price. Here's what comes in the box. So here's the box that the Mini comes in, and we open it up here, and we can see that it's got the basic instructions right there on the lid of the box, and there's really not much more than that. When we open up this part, just take this molding out, and it shows us the Mini itself, and you can see it's pretty small. Let me take a piece of 8.5 by 11 inch paper here, and you can see this is standard typing paper, and you can see it's just a hair bigger than the paper is. On the back is the kickstand. Here's a plug for an Ethernet cable. Here's the plug for the main cable that goes in there. And that main cable is here in the bottom. It's tied together with some Velcro strips. And then it's got the connector that will go in here, which is the power supply. So it's a barrel type connector that goes in there. This goes into a 120 volt AC outlet. And then the last piece of the whole kit is right here, and that's the pole mount. And this slides in to the area where the kickstand is, and then you just unscrew this, and you can set this on a pole, or as I plan to do, get a pole attachment, a little puck that fits in here, and then you can screw it into a 1/4-20 type tripod to use. So that's what comes in the kit. And then besides that little puck, I've got another cable here to run from basically a solar generator with a USB-C on this side, and then that barrel connector with the little waterproof nubs here that'll keep water out of the device. And this one has the capacity to carry the power needed to run the Mini. So that's what we've got. Hey, if you're finding this information helpful, please subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel if you haven't already, and click the thumbs up button so others will be offered this content. You can further show your appreciation by clicking the join button to learn more about becoming a channel member, or clicking the thanks button to make a one-time contribution. I really appreciate it. The Mini has a couple of compelling features. First, of course, is its size. As you saw, it's only slightly bigger than a standard sheet of typing paper. Second is the fact that the Wi-Fi router is built into the housing of the electronic phased array antenna. Speaking of the antenna, unlike other Starlink models, there are no servos or motors to zero in on the correct position. The mounting brackets have a built-in angle, and the only adjustment you need to make is to rotate the antenna to match the image in the Starlink app. the image changes as the antenna approaches the correct azimuth. Another set of features that makes this especially good for outdoor use are several options to power the device. Besides the 120-volt wall wart and cable, the Mini can also be powered by an optional 100-watt USB-C PD cable connected to a DC power source with at least 65 watts of output capacity. I found a cable on Amazon with the correct capacity and the round Starlink connector. I'll link it below. I used a Harbor Freight aluminum briefcase to store my Mini. Everything fits great, and it was on sale for under $30. There are, of course, lots of choices for cases depending on how you plan to use your Mini and how much you want to spend. For me, it's camping with my RV. Here's a clip of the Starlink in the Harbor Freight case. So here we are at the campsite, and I've got the Mini in a little Harbor Freight aluminum case. They had them on sale for about $30, and you can see it fits well. The kickstand is over here. I've got a little room for one of the attachments that I'm going to try to use today. That's down here. I've got the little puck already in the pole mount, and so we're going to see if that works. And then over here I've got another 20 feet of USB-C that you'll see I'll be powering this from a little Anker Solix 300 DC power source. And then over here you can see the little extension arm for the clip. So we'll see if all that works. So time to dig it out and try to see if we can get it up on the ladder of the RV. Going back to the key features, another is the billing plans. For the occasional camper, the 50 gigabyte roaming plan fit my needs perfectly. Overage charges are only $1 per gigabyte, and you can suspend service anytime you want. For example, if your current billing cycle is from March 3rd to April 2nd, based on when you activated your account, you could suspend your account near the end of March, keep service until April expiration day, and then not pay anything until you're ready to go camping again. At that point, you'd drop the pause and billing would resume. If you, like me, are primarily a summertime camper, there's no need to pay for fall and winter months when your RV is winterized for cold weather season. Since you've paid for the equipment, you've got a lot of flexibility on the service. Of course, there's also an unlimited roaming plan. That plan is currently about $170 per month for unlimited data, and it too can be paused or suspended. My 10-day trip to Quartzsite with some Wi-Fi phone calls, checking email and news feeds, and a few YouTube videos each day resulted in my using only 14 gigabytes of data. A camping buddy who also had a Starlink Mini did some video uploading and allowed us to log into his Mini to watch the college football championship game. That exceeded his 50 gigabyte limit, but only by a few gigabytes. If you're using something like an Amazon Fire Stick, you can select 720 or even 480 resolution and save a bunch of data versus 4K. Here are a couple of clips of my first use on my recent Quartzsite trip. As you'll see, my little RV ladder clip mount that resembled a photographer's magic arm was a bust. While it might have worked on top of the ladder, it just didn't have enough grip and friction to hold the Mini when mounted to the side rails of the RV's ladder. So here's the back of my RV. I'm going to have the little power station there in that cabinet. And here's the ladder. So we'll be going up the ladder and see if we can get that little clamp to mount this. The Starlink should be pointed basically directly at us when we get it mounted. So let's go see what this all works and looks like. So my little clip didn't work very well. Going sideways just didn't have enough friction to hold the Starlink Mini up. So I've got it on a photo tripod. And the connected, ran a speed test on it. It's looking fairly good. We'll walk around here to the other side and see how I've got it hooked up to power. I'm using a little Anchor Solix 300 DC. I've got it on some flexible solar panels there, and you can see the little DC is sitting on the ground there in the shade behind it, and that's what I've got powering the little Mini. So that all seems to work. I think I'm going to try to get a extension cable to the solar panels so that I can keep the DC in my RV, but that's really the only thing that looks like I need to change. But the photo tripod certainly works well, and I've got a good view and some good up and down links. The photo tripod worked great, but I ended up purchasing a flagpole mount similar to the flagpole mount visible on the RV, along with an 8-foot mast and heavy-duty pole mount at the Big Tent RV show. I haven't got that mounted yet, though. Keep in mind, there's no need to get the Mini way up in the air, just high enough to clear the RV's roof. Remember, it works fine with the kickstand right on the ground or picnic table too. While at Quartzsite, I did a quick range check while walking around the antenna in a large circle. As you'll see, I was watching the Wi-Fi signal strength indicator on my phone to see when I started losing signal. I was really impressed with the results. Keep in mind the area was flat and basically treeless. Here's that clip. So here's my Starlink, again at the back of my RV, just on a photo tripod. It has been really windy in this campground, 30 to 40 mile an hour wind, so there's a bag of rocks holding it down. So the point of this little exercise right now is to see what kind of coverage I'm getting here. It's very flat. There's a lot of RVs, but other than that, it's pretty much wide open. And so we'll be looking at just on the phone how many of the little arcs in the Wi-Fi that we see to give us an indicator. So there's a dot and 3 arcs on this particular phone. And so now let's head off and see what we get as we move away from the dish. So here I'm about 80 feet away, and I'm on the back side of the Starlink Mini, and I've got 2 arcs in the dot. So it's gone down 1 arc in this 80 to 90 feet away. We'll keep walking away and see how we do. I'm probably about 200 feet away. It's still got 2 arcs on the little Wi-Fi indicator. And here, I'm probably about 500 feet away, and I'm down to the 1 arc. It's flickering between 1 arc and 2. Let's change direction and move a little bit more to the side of the dish and see how we do. So here I'm kind of working around that same distance arc, and it's remaining at 2 bars. I'm still at 2 here. Again, that, I don't know, 400 to 500 feet. And I've gone far enough to the east that my next step takes me down into a creek bed. So this is about as far as I'm going to go. Now I'm going to move north and see how we do there. Again, 300 to 400 feet over there to the RV where that white pickup is. The Starlink is right behind it there with the RV. And I've got right here 3 bars again. So now I'm at that full strength indicator here on my phone. So that is getting better as I get to this particular side of the Mini's plate. Okay, so at this point, the other RV and the pickup are between me and the Starlink, and we're down to just flickering between 1 and 2 arcs on the phone's Wi-Fi strength indicator. And still really pretty nice. This is really a huge arc that I'm walking that would cover quite a lot of space, certainly more than you'd need in a typical campsite or around your house. So here, going past that little gray car to the RV with the antenna, the Starlink is just on the other side of that, so the signal is going through that RV about 600 feet or so from the antenna or from the Starlink Mini, and I've got 1 bar.
And here we're probably more like 700 to 800 feet away from the antenna down there. You can see it, the two RVs that are between me and the antenna and the two cars that are parked there provide some blockage, but even at that, the phone shows that we've got 2 bars of signal. So let's head down the path to see when it drops out completely. So I've zoomed the camera in, and that group of RVs in the foreground is between me and where the Starlink Mini is. In the distance, there's another RV that's in my campground. You saw that earlier. And then the Starlink Mini itself is right behind that. And so I'm thinking maybe 800 to 1,000 feet, and I've got dropout. So that's really pretty good. That's a huge area to cover, and it's only as high as a photo tripod.
You manage your Starlink Mini with the Starlink app. As you'll see in a moment, it has some helpful tools to help you get the most from your Starlink. You can also access your Starlink account and do such things such as pausing and unpausing your billing, changing billing plans, and other account-related things. So let's take just a minute to look at some of the aspects of the Starlink app. I've got the thing booted on. When you first open it up, it's going to have you open an account with Starlink if you haven't already. I'm not going to go through that as I don't want to share my personal information, but it's the same as you do with most providers, and so that's not a big deal. The next thing you're going to do is give your Wi-Fi a name. As you can see on the top left of this screen, I've called it Hamstar, since I'm using this primarily to support some of my ham radio activities when I'm out camping. And you can see on the display that it's online. Now, when it starts, it's going to start with disconnected because you have to plug the Starlink in. Generally, you point it north, and then it'll go through the process. And you may have to select the Wi-Fi network that you've named on your Starlink to get this connected. Otherwise, occasionally it'll come on and it'll just connect. But the connection process is not difficult at all. Now, one of the first things you're going to want to check is the alignment. And so you can see in the box my Starlink is not aligned with that little box. And I did that on purpose to give you a demonstration of how that works. And so let me walk over to the Starlink that's on its kickstand, just sitting on the ground. And I'm going to rotate it to match an alignment with the box. And so you can see right there that I have the Starlink aligned. The little light came on around the border of that little box, which makes an easy visual indication that your Starlink is aligned. Now, one of the other things it does is it calculates obstructions, and we can view those obstructions by pressing here. You can see that as it rotates around the compass rose, there are a lot of blue, and that's clear. And then the little red dots represent some obstructions. Now, I'm in my patio area, and so I think some of those little red dots may be the roof of my house that just kind of clip the bottom of the receive band of this phased array antenna. And so obstructions are listed there. Now, you can also see that I have an upcoming pause of service, and that's going to happen later today. I used my Starlink on the camping trip that you've seen some clips for, and what this does then, since I don't plan to camp for a couple of months, I can just turn it off, and when I'm ready to start camping again, I can turn it on. With the plan I have, I've got the 50 gigabyte plan. That should be enough for a few days of camping here and there throughout the month. If I find that's insufficient, I can always change it to the unlimited plan. And of course, the unlimited plan's about, 3 times more expensive, 160, 170 bucks. If I look at my statistics, these are my ping success rate. Latency is pretty low, 36 milliseconds. It's only drawing 23 watts of power right now. And so all of that reflects, a pretty stingy electrical device, which is exactly what I was looking for here. If I wanted to complete a speed test, I can use the basic speed test here. I don't try not to do that too often because the speed test uses some of that data, and the speed's going to be what it's going to be. But here in this case, we'll run the test both up and down to see what kind of performance I get from the device itself. And so in this case, I've got an upload of 7.1 megabits per second with 41 milliseconds of latency, and a 48 megabits per second on the download, which is the blue arc up there. And for what I'm using this for, that is great. It works very well. So, and then you can see that I'm connected here with my Galaxy S22. So again, when I return to the basic page for the Starlink app, you can see that it's online. It's got the green dot, that bright light coming from the plate, that is the antenna, and makes it really pretty easy to do this. So that's a quick overview of our Starlink app. You can get into your account and make changes there. That's where you're going to make changes to your setting up a pause, setting up a change in the data plan, and that kind of thing. But one of the real values for me in the way I use this is that I can use it for a month, for part of a month, pay $50, and then turn it off, and then let it lay fallow, if you will, for a month or two before I use it again. And then I can turn it on and it'll be ready to go.
As with all Starlink models, you have to be able to get a clear view of the northern sky. That means my RV ladder-mounted Mini may or may not be perfectly placed in every campsite in the forest. In those instances, I can use the photo tripod as you've seen in the video, or just place it on the ground using the kickstand mount. With the Mini's great Wi-Fi range, the signal should be available all around the campsite. For me, the Starlink Mini fits my needs perfectly. Check out some of the other videos here on YouTube where travelers and other adventurers demonstrate using the Mini with vehicle roof mounts, windshield mounts, and backpack cases while on the move. Those are just not capabilities I need, but are certainly doable. Again, if you found this video helpful, be sure to click the thumbs up button and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel if you haven't already. There's a link for a free month of service in the description below. As with most such links, it's an affiliate link where I get a referral reward too. Thanks for watching.